And welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We will have the Cowboys State of the Union, whatever they want to call it these days, training camp press conference here for you on the channel. That is supposed to get going at 1:30 Eastern Time. I have my doubts it will be on time because it is never on time. Our comments will be open, though. Safe space to complain. Cowboys channel has the chat turned off, which I can't say I'm surprised by, or even blame them that much. Because we don't trust Dallas right now. At least I think most of us do not trust the Cowboys at this time. So what do you think? Do you have faith in the Cowboys and their plan, etc.? Y for yes, N for no. A safe space to complain or praise the organization. Y or N in the comments. So, Joseph, Cowboys fanatic, all typing in no. Michael, Freddie, Anthony, just JLF, Downey, chill. It's all N's. Not a single Y for yes in the comment section quite yet. David says N. Fishy white tea. Brian Perry say yes. Respect your opinions. Breakdown Rebuild says no. Peter, Mike, Donald, Neil. There's a lot of no's in there. I can't say I'm surprised. I get it. I still think that this is a 10-win team, by the way. Still believe that. But I don't know if that's not enough, you know? We need more than just, hey, we won 10 games and lost in the playoffs. Carolina, take that in a heartbeat right now. We don't want to be Carolina. We want to be a contender. I think they're a playoff contender. I don't think they're a championship contender. A lot more no's coming in here. Donovan, George, XO Ortiz says never. David, Zachary Reeder, Hank S. all typing in their N for no's in the comments. And I don't blame you guys. I have my doubts as well. They can earn it back. But I'm not giving it to him blindly anymore. Not that maybe in recent years we hadn't been giving it to him blindly anyway, but there needs to be more progress made. Well, chat some more before the press conference gets going here. But first, today's show is made possible by two sponsors. First up is Game Time. The Game Time guarantee means you will get the lowest ticket prices for your upcoming event, as long as it's in the same section and row. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create your account and use code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports for $20 off. It's also made possible by Rocket Money. Rocket Money can find and cancel unwanted subscriptions for you and allow you to stop wasting money on things you don't need or don't want or didn't even realize you were being charged for. It's happened to all of us. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Link for both of those will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Now, we will change the pin poll to this later on. But there's going to be a lot of new people coming in for the press conference, and I don't want to cause confusion with people who don't really know what the bid is. 5 options for you for the next Cowboys legend at the the first one, I should say, on the offensive line. You can type PM for Pat McQuaid, who's spent a decent amount of time in the NFL, was never maybe a superstar caliber player. LA for Larry Allen Jr., CG for Chaz Green, RB for Robert Brewster, and at your suggestions, I hadn't even thought of it, but I thought it was funny when you guys had pitched it. Zeke at center. Who's your first Cowboys legend along the offensive line? It's pretty great. I think these are all really good options. By the way, there's only 2 offensive line spots, which does make things a little bit complicated, I suspect. But get your votes in PM, LA, CG, RB, or ZC for Ezekiel Elliott at center. The Zeke at center one, I think, is just funny, by the way. Like, I think that's more than anything what it actually is. They did not do the schedule stream, by the way, Chris, so you got to go to the other one. Go back to that page, and you'll see it. Mine was not live, but maybe I was on a different page than you, because I found this. Anyway, we're fine. Cowboys. Get your votes in PM, LA, CG, RB, ZC. As your votes come in, Chris will make sure everything's set up to go on the Cowboys press conference side. You will not have to hear their annoying bumper music, which at a certain point, like when you listen to every press conference, it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is a lot to to consistently hear in your ear of "Go Cowboys" over and over again there. I think if we weren't doing the funny one of Zeke at center, by the way, it would definitely be Chaz Green. He and Pat spent a long time in the NFL. A lot longer than you probably realize as well, by the way. So get those votes in. PM, LA, CG, RB, or ZC in the comments section. We do have a super chat menu for you guys on today's show as well. Here it is. $20, we'll do a shot. $50 for the beer bong or the tortilla slap. $100 bong, slap, and shot combo. $300, we will go home early and play some CFP 25. I did not get to play last night because I was here pretty late. Getting the second studio behind us set up and changing some of the audio and the setting stuff right there. So that's our super chat menu on today's show for you. The pin poll right now, and I'll change it back to the Cowboys Legend one once we start. Is this press conference going to start on time? It is supposed to start at 1:30 Eastern. I would say there's almost a 0% chance that it starts on time. They never start on time. They're always late. They're always delayed. They are never there right when they're supposed to be there. Which that's their prerogative. It's fine. It's their press conference. You don't have to be on time for it. Kind of like your birthday. Can you really be late to your own birthday? It's your birthday. Technically yes, but also no, it's your thing. So I don't think there's any chance that it starts on time. So while we wait, we'll hang out and chat Cowboys as best as reasonably and humanly possible for you guys. I will make note, the Cowboys side of the press conference has the live chat turned off. You cannot comment over there. You can comment over here, and we'll have some fun in the process. I know for training camp stuff, they've also got they're going to have a mock game on Saturday. I really wouldn't read too much into that. There's not going to be a real game. It's not going to be a mock game. They're not going to be in pads. So, they're going to have a practice. I don't think they'll be in shells, like helmets and stuff, but the real pads aren't going to be on. So, and yeah, you're right. They stateside 757. They never have the channel. They haven't had the channel in a while. Because I don't blame them. It'd be ugly in there. It'd be ugly, but we'll have our chat on and can listen and complain at the same time there. So 69% voting no, by the way. Very nice. Very nice on that front. I think down to 68%. That's sad. Woody Ford also wrote in Doug Free for the Cowboys legend bit. I think Doug Free's too good. I think he's too good. Oh, VA East Side. That makes a lot more sense. The one non-capitalization and a couple of the other ones kind of threw me off. So that's certainly on me. We will talk about Trevon Diggs as part of the press conference takeaway stuff here as well. What is your confidence level in Trevon Diggs' return? Now, he's going to start on the PUP list. That was announced earlier today officially. Sounds like nobody else is on the PUP list, which I view as an absolute win, by the way. But I think and we'll have the conversation, return to play versus return to performance, as we've seen with Michael Gallup, as we've seen with Terrence Steele in recent memory. It's not always the same thing. So Diggs will be back in terms of being on the football field for week one, but I really mean more confidence level and how impactful do you think he's going to be? Scale it for me in the comment section, 1 to 10. As your votes come in, talking to what drills they're going to do today. I don't know. They'll do it's not going to look that different than what minicamp was. How about that? If they did a walkthrough yesterday, they'll do their stretching, their running, they'll do some 7-on-7. They might mix in some 11-on-11. Most of the install should all be done by now, so there shouldn't be too much of the basic install. There'll be elements that they work on. Some coaches want to do red zone stuff early on. Some people want to do it later. There's some wide variety, but they'll do their drills. Some shout-outs on this one as we are officially late for the Dallas Cowboys press conference, by the way. So I'm going to change that pinned poll to the Cowboys legend one because we're late for the press conference, which we knew they were going to be. They're never on time. They can't help themselves not be on time. Good call. Pick a Cowboys legend on the O-line. All right, we're going to have Pat McQuaystain, and we'll merge Robert Brewster. We'll do Larry Allen Jr.
If you guys haven't already as well, make sure you guys go ahead and like today's show. We're here, 2-3 hours early for this too today? We do it all for you guys, so make sure you drop a like for us.
New Cowboys legend pin poll is added. Again, if you're new, you're not paying attention, these are not like actually good players. It's a bit. They're like meme players. It's funny. They weren't actually good, but it's fun to throw them in there. And like, oh, remember when he was on the Cowboys? Yeah, he wasn't very good. That's how the conversation goes. So Pat McQuaystain, or McQuaystain, however you pronounce it. Larry Allen Jr., who had a very, very brief time in Dallas. Chaz Green, Robert Brewster, and then Zeke at center. Because I think the Zeke at center part's really funny. Which is not my. I had no intention of putting him on there, and then a couple of you guys had suggested it on the live show, and I'm like, this is hilarious. We have to do it. Cleared it with the bosses. Like, this is great. Did not clear the bosses all the training camp trolling I've been doing, which some people didn't like, but I thought it was funny. I know enough people thought it was funny that I think it's fine. I think it was Joseph Thomas, and then someone else had done it independently. Like when I put like the community post up on, like someone else had thrown it in there too. Right now, 35% voting Larry Allen Jr., 8% for Pat and Robert, 22% Chaz Green. Ezekiel Elliott at center has now taken the lead. And yes, Jordan Lewis also didn't like the fake Zeke tweet. He didn't like that one either. It's fine. He didn't have to. It's not a big deal. I thought it was funny. He said, dude's weird. And I said, you can't confirm it in a reply. Yeah, and also the pads do come on later. I think their first padded practice is next week, I think. Early, mid next week. Somewhere in that time frame. They're late again, Chris. They are never on time for this thing. Without fail, they are not on time. It happens. The over-under is probably 7. Over-under 7 on that front. We'll see. I have my doubts about them getting it in even before the first 7 minutes. All right, Cowboys legend voting continues here. PM, LA, CG, RB, or ZC for Zeke at center. I'm also very curious who's going to ask the tough questions today at the press conference. Jane will. Jane will also ask a not softball question, and then also like follow it up too, and not just let them give their answer and say, okay, that's enough for me. Jane will do that. Gelkin's not there anymore, so that part kind of sucks for the Cowboys. I think for us too, because Gelkin was good at his job. I'm gonna do bold predictions here, as David Moore asked the first question, as he always does, and it will be a semi-softball question about Mike McCarthy and being on the last year of his deal. Not like overly challenging, but like just like allowing Jerry to answer it however he wants to answer it type of deal. That's going to be my early prediction on that front. There will be questions on CeeDee Lamb. Let's go to that weigh-in here, if you have it as an option and not just the weigh-in right option. I'm not sure if you did it. I am upset that CeeDee Lamb still has not been paid, that his training camp holdout continued, or I guess starts today, because it would have been really nice to have him there and be present and everything, because he should be paid. So I still think the Lamb deal ends up getting done. What is the date that you think CeeDee Lamb ends up getting paid? I think Lamb is maybe a good other question. Oh, Anthony goes, is there going to be a Belichick question? No, they're not going to ask about Bill. No way. I even if I were there, I wouldn't ask about Bill. There's no point. He ain't getting hired this year. You're at camp. I'd ask a lot about Lamb and the contract stuff. Steven doesn't have to answer too many of these questions up here. A lot of them go towards Jerry. Mike ain't gonna have to answer much either. He's just gonna sit up there and chill. Which, by the way, I'm sure Mike's damn glad that Jerry got his trial sorted out and now gets to be here instead of having to handle it all by himself.
The real question is, too, if somebody asks that hard question about CeeDee Lamb or Dak's contract, are they going to answer it truthfully? Or are they going to throw some wild numbers out there like they've been doing?
From their point of view, they think they are being truthful. They believe the pie lie. It's not a lie to them. They genuinely believe it. I see August 8th from Chris Tanton. I see August 15th from Zactor99. The 1st from Isaiah. The 4th from Sam. Anything but Saturday or Sunday. It would be very on brand if the Cowboys paid CeeDee Lamb on Saturday because I've got my club championship. I'm just not gonna have my phone on me. So we'll see. Dylan, what time does the presser start? Great question. It was supposed to be 7 minutes ago. They're late again. I had set the over-under at 7.5. And we're still not there. So it's a great question. In theory, any moment. And we'll just get it off real quick and go over. But we'll see. Luis, that's wondering how our first-year players are doing. You won't glean that much from the beginning of training camp. I think some of the extreme stuff, the really good, the really bad, I think is a little more obvious. But for linemen in particular, how do you really know how it's going without pads on? I think you can tell if they're wow, that guy's out of shape, or wow, he can't move. At that point, it's a little tricky. Oh, did you think they started it? They do the pause. They do the pause. Now they'll just cut into it as soon as someone gets going there. Let's go another way in here, Chris. You can pick it. Dealer's choice for you as we continue to await the start of the press conference. In classic Cowboys form, they're behind. Whomst among us would have seen that one coming? Not the first time, not the last time. They'll be late. Well, I'm sure there will be questions on the Dak Prescott contract, and I'm sure Jerry and Steven will say the exact same thing. I kind of hope, by the way, that Jane asks, have enough leaves fallen yet to pay your players? I think be a great question by Jane, because she's the question. Her question was when it got the leaves fallen answer. So I hope she brings it back. Will Dak be the Cowboys QB in 2025? I don't know about this one. They can't tag him. They can't trade him, obviously. And we'll see. I have my doubts. There, he's like an hour away from walking out on the practice field. No deal done that we know of. I'm sure someone will be like, they're delayed because they're working on a deal, and I have no faith in that whatsoever. Jane, maybe not accidentally tweeting out a CeeDee Lamb training video right now. Maybe not an accident. I like that, Jane. I like that. There you go. Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. So grade the press conference. We're going to do low grades. You can take that credit L3 off too there. We'll break down a lot of stuff from this. I have thoughts. They lied to us multiple times in that press conference, by the way. Multiple times they straight up lied and said, oh, this is the case. When it's verified, it's not like opinion or point of view, just straight up lie. Jerry was rambling the entire time. I again, as many of you know, I wanted Mike McCarthy fired. I thought that the playoff disaster was a disaster. He should not have come back. I felt bad for Mike again today because Mike just wants to be up there coaching football. And he gets to answer 2 questions about football and listen to Jerry Jones talk about a gnat's ass again. That's what we went through again. There was no way that they were going to be able to win that press conference. There is nothing that they could have done to be like, yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Now we're in great shape. There's nothing that they could have said. But, sit up there and give me the same crap again. I don't like it. I don't want to be for bull crap, TKG says. You sit up there and say that Dak and Micah cost 70-80% of your payroll? No, it doesn't. It's not even close to it. It's just a made-up number. The Vikings haven't paid anyone. Stephen Jones not know that they paid Christian Darrisaw this week? Genuinely asking. Don't know if he is aware of that. Now, I do want to point out that at least Stephen, not outright saying it, but certainly implied that CeeDee wants to get paid more than Justin Jefferson. I don't know if that's true or not because they lied about other things today. How can I take them seriously? We'll get to some super chats. Then we'll break down the press conference. I'll do some more rants, injury news, and get into the normalty of today's show. There will be a mailbag, by the way, as well. So if you have comments, questions, thoughts, you can use that hashtag Cowboys in there. From Mark, please, Jerry Jones, just shut up, so full of it. He put that in like 10 minutes in the press conference, and it rang true the entire time afterward. Ricky Stevenson, a $5 super chat. Time I'm truly embarrassed of our owner. He lies and just rambles on about nothing. I'm sick of it and the lies every year. I thought he was more coherent as the press conference went on. I'm not going to lie to you. He was rough at the beginning. It was a lot of nonsense. And then he got into his stories. And he's like an old man's stories. Like the stories start to work well, you know? He did compare himself to Patrick Mahomes, which, like, I am annoyed by. But also, like, historically speaking, like, relative to ownership, actually not that crazy. He's done a lot of good things for the NFL over the years. From Mark, $5. I'm 54, been a fan since 4th grade. I'll say it up go in 17. Shut up, Jerry. Wipe that smirk off your face. It's the only way we make real change. You heard it from them. They were very excited to tell you about how many people bought season tickets this season. That is the most happy I've seen the Jones boys be in a long time. They were very excited to tell you, well, the fans bought our tickets, so I guess they're not that mad at us. They showed what they care about again. From We Don't Wife These 304s, who's worse, Jerry or Carton? Recency bias makes me want to say Jerry. I don't know if that's fair or not, though, necessarily. So I'm frustrated by it all. That press conference went the way we thought it was going to. So one more time, grade the Cowboys press conference, then we'll get into the press conference takeaways here. You know, how do you feel it went? A, B, C, D, or F? I see negative C, which is funny. A Z is in there. You can do the intro video, though, before this. I think that makes sense. F, D, F, W for a waste of my time. That's funny. F minus. Chase is what? I might forget to do this in the actual video. Shout out Jane Slater for asking the tough questions. I told you, she was the one who was going to ask actually hard questions about it. And even Tim Cowlishaw, I thought, asked a pretty good question, too. Now, that's not the easiest thing to do. You only get one question, if that. And sometimes you want to give the coach a damn question, you know? Well, I felt bad for Mike. But, you know, no one's going to challenge them except us on 70-80% of the payroll. That's just not true. It's a straight-up lie. It's just not accurate. So I'll save the majority of the rant for the actual cut that we'll get to here live on the Cowboys Report. The Cowboys opening press conference is over. The training camp, I should say. Give me your one-word reaction to the State of the Union press conference. One of my coworkers here at Chat Sports just messaged me, sell the team. That's 3 words, but sell works as one. Let me know in the comment section of today's video. I don't know how long we're going to go today. It could be a long one, so bear in mind with me there. Number 1, Jerry Jones was rambling a lot. He loves ambiguity. He made a lot of comments about ambiguity, which in fitting form for the word, I don't know what that actually means. What are we talking about here? Ambiguity. It was more of the same analogies Jerry's used in the past. We got the leaves falling BS. We got the option quarterback stuff where at one point he was kind of comparing himself to Patrick Mahomes, which I thought was really weird. In general, I'll preface this. There was nothing the Cowboys could have done today short of saying, hey, this guy's getting paid, done deal. We have announced it. They bring him up there as a surprise. Nothing sure that would have appealed to us. And you could tell the Jones boys were on the defensive. They had some lines in mind not all of which were actually accurate, though. I think maybe the most actually informative thing beyond us just being mad about their lies was the claim. We'll make that singular S, by the way. No, on the second Lamb when you change it for me, Chris. Doing things on the fly, it happens. It's okay. Is that Lamb wants more? So just go ahead and push that big cam. Lamb wants more than Justin Jefferson. That was what Steven alluded to. You got two guys, Micah and Lamb, who want to be the highest paid non-QB in the NFL. Now, that might be true. Flies in the report of some of the other faces of maybe what happened was Lamb asked for that and he's willing to settle for less. That is certainly plausible as well. But it's also very hard for me to believe the Cowboys when this report comes out. I'll believe some of the other agents, other reporters that are out there. When the Cowboys also lied about other things in today's press conference that we will get into as part of this. It wouldn't shock me if Lamb is asking for more than Justin Jefferson. Doesn't mean he's going to get it. Doesn't mean he wouldn't accept it. We know Micah straight up said that he's going to try to get more than Jefferson, and that's fine. Everyone's on board that comes next year. But I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe Stephen Jones when he says this, because they lie to us all the time. So do you trust the Cowboys right now? It is today's pinned comment, so take advantage of a potential ad break if it comes here on YouTube. Y for yes, N for no. There's also more all in and cap crap, which maybe I'll call it cap crap instead of the pie line because it sounds kind of funny as well. Several things I want to make note of here. I am bothered, and Jerry didn't mean, I think he did use the word insensitive about the fans. He didn't mean that. He meant acknowledging that we are sensitive about the lack of wins. That's fine. Every time the Cowboys use the phrase all in, a little bit of me dies on the inside. It's honestly just dickish at this point, to use a very poor term. Why do you keep doing this? You're not all in. You cannot use a term and try to so distort the definition that it means something completely different. You have not spent a dime relative to the rest of the NFL. You are the cheapest cash spending team in the NFL this year. You might sit up there and say everyone gets the same salary cap space and we spend it to our max, which they did again today. You do not spend the same cash. That is not an opinion. It is not a matter of viewpoint or point of view. It is a fact. The Cowboys do not spend the same amount of money. And if they're going to sit up there and cry about their cap space, a great way. Jerry made a big deal of saying, it's the world smiles violin. No one feels bad for us, as he complained 7 times of having to pay all these players. It kind of doesn't work for me. You want to pay Lamb? Get it done. We'll talk, Jerry sat up there and said that there's a scenario in which, Dak and Mike and Lamb take up 70 to 80% of the payroll. Straight up a lie. And nobody called them on that. It is not true. There's no way to even remotely get to that figure. It doesn't exist. It's not close to 70 to 80% of it. It is a flat-out lie. And my boy Mike White, not to be tried, posted 5 minutes before Jerry said it. They act like we don't have the internet, and we can't do basic math. Jerry also said, you're going to have to help me with my math, and then said I'm good at math in a 10-minute span, by the way. Stephen Jones said, the Vikings paid Jefferson, but they didn't pay anybody else. They signed Christian Darrisaw to $26 million a year 2 days ago or a day ago. Did he not know? This is why I have my doubts. In a normal world, maybe Lamb does want more than Jefferson. But they also lied about other shit. So why would I believe them? Come on. The Cowboys got most excited today about their damn ticket sales. They made a very good point of hey guys, ticket sales, fastest renewal ever, better than anybody else in the NFL. Nobody wants our tickets more. That is what they care about. They showed their colors again. They were hyped about that. They were very excited, look at all the people that want to buy our season tickets and go to our games. That's what they care about at the core. Long as the money's coming in, long as the sales are coming in, it's fine. It's fine. They're okay with it. But the bottom line was there. And that continues to be a sticking point and a problem point for me. Now, speaking of ticket sales, you don't have to go to a Cowboys game, by the way. You can go to a concert, a comedy show, theater, a baseball game instead. But whenever you're buying tickets to whatever your next event is, make sure you guys are using Game Time. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or whatever tickets to a game you're trying to go to. Always keep an eye out for the zone deals. With the zone deal, you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats. You get savings along the way because who cares what seats you're in if you're sitting in the section you actually want to be seated in. So download the Game Time app today over at gametime.co. Create your account and use code CHATSPORTS, 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 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Now, in a very Jerry-heavy press conference, because of course it was, he says he doesn't think this is Dak's last year. Part of me wonders if all the comments and conversation made about how, Jerry doesn't always get what he wants, which was true when he was young and certainly has not been the case since he made all of his money. He has like a $200 million yacht. Like, he can get whatever he wants. Part of me wonders if that's like trying to lay the groundwork of, I wanted Dak, but we couldn't get it done type of deal. Because they don't actually have any control over him, Or, we caved on the deal, whatever. Technically they're already out there practice, by the way. At least I believe that's the case at this time. Well, I guess whenever you guys watch something, man, they'll definitely be out there if not already done with practice. Going out there with no contract. I forget who it was. Someone had tweeted out, got the head coach and the quarterback in the last year of their contracts. It was Diana Rossini. When was the last time that happened? The answer, this organization 5 years ago in 2019. They're doing it again. Jerry was asked, comments were like, hey, you made that mistake. You're going to fix it this time. And he's like, well, no, I'm going to try to do it this way. Like, I could do that all the time. You're just fine making the same mistakes all over again? Like, you complain about your cap and you're not moving the needle to get deals done. You could have overpaid Lamb and it had been a steal. You messed up the Dak contract the first time so badly, you're still paying for it now. It's frustrating. So, prediction time, because I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. It's going to come all the way down to the wire, and it comes down to, what does Dak want to do in the end? Will Dak Prescott be the Cowboys QB in 2025? Y for yes, N for no. Some injury news that we'll get to here in a moment, or I guess now technically. As expected, Trevon Diggs is opening up training camp on the PUP list per multiple different reports. Sounds like this will end up being a shorter stint for Diggs on the PUP list there. He tore his ACL in practice for week 3 of last season. Expectations can be ready way before week 1 this season. And I'm fine with the Cowboys taking a more cautious approach. I don't have any complaints about that because you need him out there. You cannot win a playoff game or win a Super Bowl or win the division in July, even in August. You can lose it, though. Now, you don't want to set yourself up for complete, terribly slow starts, but you do want to set yourself up for success. And I think a slower approach is fine. The big thing I have for Diggs, what does return to play look like? And what does return to performance look like? Those are very different things. We've seen that several times now over the years. Michael Gallup, unfortunately, never returned to performance. Terrence Steele had some wildly impressive return to play last year, not wildly impressive return to performance. So how does that all factor in the end? Diggs a damn good corner. He, DeRon Bland, Jordan Lewis, that's a good trio if they're all healthy. So be patient with Diggs. See, and maybe in a short window, you can spin it as a positive. You get Eric Scott more reps, get Sean Wright more reps, get Kalen Carson reps, get a feel for how good those guys could end up being. That's fine in July. That's fine in early August. It's not fine in October, So what is your confidence level in Trevon Diggs? Not to play, but to performance. Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comments section. some positive notes here in what has been a very negative show off the bat, but, it was the press conference. Of course it was. Mazi Smith managed to avoid starting camp on the PUP list after his offseason surgery. Good news there. Luke Schoonmaker, also not on the PUP list, so positive there as he faces kind of a big training camp for him, kind of low-key under the radar. I will say that the Cowboys are going to probably limit those guys a little bit. They will do stuff, but they probably won't be 100% full go. And I'm sure we'll have photos when this comes out of just how in shape Mazi Smith actually looks. Now, unfortunately, as the month winds down, we are losing the month-long NFC East sub-battle. Help us take that claim back. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/@CowboysTV. We're way behind the curve. They're a small channel. It's fine. We can catch the Giants. I have faith in us. Hit that sub button right now. Also good news on DeMarvion Overshown. He has been fully cleared for camp after his preseason ACL tear that he suffered back in 2023. Good news on all that. Having those guys out there, I think, is a very big deal. It is troubling that we're having this conversation about your top 3 picks last year who did not really make much of an impact. So of those 3 players, of the 3 players we're talking about here today, who are you most excited about for the 2024 season? MS for Mazi Smith, LS for Luke Schoonmaker, DO for DeMarvion Overshown. Also to not be on the PUP/NFI list, David Durden, Peyton Hendershot, John Stevens, Osa Odigizua as well. All 3 of those guys, or 4 of those guys, should be good to go. I actually didn't see if Hendershot was specifically mentioned by, I think, Nick Harris at the full list. But he wasn't on the reported list, and the Cowboys announced Diggs already. They didn't announce anybody else. So I think everyone should be good to go. All right, mailbag time. 2 ways to get on the show here. Number 1 is use #Cowboys, or it can be like Mark did. We got a lot of super chats from Mark on today's show about the press conference and more that we will get to. We'll put them in the mailbag. We'll put the mailbag out this one out Saturday. We'll figure it out. I'll figure out the timing of it all there. But we'll take care of that. So get your questions in using #Cowboys or super chatting to skip the line altogether. Now, if you're just now tuning in, the Cowboys Legend voting is underway. Now, this is not actually picking the best player available. This is picking someone who's kind of more of a meme player. They were around the NFL for a long time, but you don't really identify them as a Cowboy player. But because they played for the Cowboys once, when people are trying to get clicked, it's former Cowboy does this, Here's the... laughing at we don't wife these 304s. Let's go to that one not in the mailbag. It's Pat McQuaid, type in PM. LA for Larry Allen Jr. Obviously, his dad is an actual Cowboys Ring of Honor member. Chaz Green, Robert Brewster, or the full-on meme one, Zeke at center. We don't wife these 304s. Jerry has a degradation kink. What's the tweet I've sent out before? Hold on. Because it's very similar to that. Oh, can I find it? Come on. Gotta look through all my tweets to find this here. I can't find it. There's a very funny meme tweet that's something very, very similar about that. It's this is clearly someone who has what's the exact? Has a kink for something. And I can't find it. All right, it just ends up being a really bad talk show if I keep doing it beyond that. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty funny. One last time, Cowboys Legend voting in the pinned poll. I'm not surprised Larry Allen Jr. is taking the lead. Sizable lead, by the way. Sizable lead on that front. Today's Super Chat menu, by the way, I can't drink outside of this stuff anymore. Makes it fair. But I might need it during the games this year. A lot. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong or a tortilla slap, $100 for all 3, the bong, slap, and shot combo. $300. We get to go home and play more CFB 25 early. We have to join the Chat Sports Online Dynasty. You did your recruiting? I didn't do anything last night. I did pick USC. I have 0 rooting interest for the Trojans, but I wanted to balance the conferences out. And Sam, or one of our producers here, is a big Oklahoma fan, so I want to troll them. My coach is going to be Riley Brisket, and he's going to be about 275 pounds. If I can find a mullet mustache, I'm going to do that too. Solely a troll pick. Solely a troll pick. So.
I went through last night when I was making my coach. They have 520 different faces that you can pick from. Not a single one of them is bald.
That's a damn shame.
Every single one of them has hair because I went and picked I made my guy the coach from Friday Night Lights,
nice.
the real guy.
Nice.
He's bald.
Yeah.
Not a single bald guy in the game.
It's funny. I like that, Chris. All right, so we'll get to today's mailbag coming up here. Get your questions in, #Cowboys or via Super Chat. A super thanks on today's mailbag to kick things off from CJ DeYoung III. You're wrong there, Tom. Cowboys front office is special in the mean kind of special way. I'll edit for clarity there, kind of pushing I'll put anything on a super thanks on the show metrics there. The press conference went badly, and this came in before the press conference. But we also saw that one coming. Foxtrot Gaming. Hey, Tom, give Tolbert some credit. I bet he is the clear wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys by the end of the season. I'm willing to say 700-plus yards and 5-plus touchdowns. Love your brother. Go Cowboys. I think every single person out there would take that stat line from Jalen Tolbert right now. That means he played really well and almost, in fact, I think technically did triple his production over the course of his career. Now, those questions were all super thanks. It's no different really than a super chat on a live show, just the on-demand version. You edit your message, send in whatever. We will give you some love if you send in a super thanks or a super chat, of which Mark sent in several. Says he talks about the 6 most wins, yet does not mention him ranked 30th in playoff wins over the 30 years. He would sign a check. Hankins not worth $2 million. Clown. That's a big part of it. It's really hard to say there's no check you wouldn't sign to win a Super Bowl when you're spending some of the least amount of actual money involved. Your cap's getting filled up. Your cash isn't. So that's really frustrating for fans. It's the mouth says one thing and the body does something else. We can all see that the actions do not match up with the words there. For Mark, it's simple. Do what others do. If you believe in your big 3, sign them. Save money, open cap space, sign good and solid role players like Hankins. I completely agree. This is so spot on because you're spending like $100 million less over less than a 5-year period for the teams like Philadelphia. Steve, when he mentions the Vikings, he's doing it on purpose because he can't make that claim about Philadelphia because the Eagles are paying 2 receivers over $25 million. They got 12 players making $10 million a year this year. It's double you. Double you. U as in what you are doing. Y-O-U, not W as in, the whatever. If you think those are your guys, then pay them early and go win. The Eagles make contract mistakes too. They say, we messed up, and they find a way to make it work. The Cowboys make a contract mistake, and the world falls apart around them. And they will use, we paid Zeke and we couldn't pay Tyron. Literally an excuse that they used. Who Zeke is now on, he's gotten cut and not brought back by 2 teams in that same time frame. That's, the Cowboys make it seem like one bad contract, and it's like, oh my God, we can't do anything now. We're in such bad shape. It's not on the other end. It's not how the rest of the NFL operates. Why? Mark's right. Do what the other contenders are doing. Because this strategy the Cowboys are using would work if they had Patrick Mahomes. Ain't got no Patrick Mahomes. Mark says, Tom, for GM, poll that, Tom. How's the family? Clowns. 2 different thoughts there on how's the family and clowns, to be clear. Family's doing well. Again, 10 years maximum, I would win 1 championship. Guarantee it. If not, I'll just resign in disgrace. Talks to Tom trolling. It's funny. I was doing some mean trolling on social media. Who is the most to prove at camp? Mazi? Lance has a lot to prove. Probably Mazi. He's a first-round pick, and he didn't do very well last year and missed all of OTAs and minicamp. And this team was also banking on Mazi in a much bigger way than they're banking on Lance. If Lance isn't good, it's a 4th-round pick. You move on from him next year. If Mazi's bad, You can't sit up there and say you're going to draft and develop and then not draft and develop well, Got to hit those picks. Got to hit on them. It's a big deal for me. Who do you think is under the most pressure at training camp this year? Sound off for me in the comment section of today's show, the pinned comment actually, of today's show. Who was under the most pressure for the Cowboys in 2024? Tristan K. Hey, Tom, if it's not 70%, what do you think the actual percentage is that the big three will take up of our cap spending? So there's actually, and this is part of the complicatedness, there's actually multiple ways of determining just how much they're going to spend for you. You can determine it based on like the percentage of the cap when signed. You can determine it based on what actual percentage of the cap it is. Like right now, with Dak's massive cap hit and CeeDee Lamb's big cap hit, and if you want to just pretend it's the Micah number for next year is the fifth-year option, and you're not maximizing what you're doing relative to the salary cap with what you're paying them, even right now, it's not even 40%. So we are literally about double. It's actually about double what Jerry had said it was. And that's not, being aggressive with how you structure the contract to push money off each, like all those smart teams are doing, like Mark mentioned earlier. If you were to pay Dak, pay Lamb, and pay Micah this year, that number would have dropped from what it is right now. You would have saved money in the short term paying those guys, and it's not even a quarter. Now, in year 2 and year 5, it'll be a little bit more, and you'll have other payers, but by then, you're getting the Tank Lawrence deal off your books. The Zach Martin deal would be off your books as well. So it's not 70. And even if you're paying the cash number to the cap number and you're putting at the high end, it's not 50. I genuinely don't know where Jerry pulled 70 out of, except out of his ass. Like it's just not true. It's like I'm just gonna pick a number and ride with it. I honestly have no idea how he got to that number because it's so far off. None of it makes sense. Now, what does make sense is using Rocket Money to monitor your spending and make sure you're not paying for things you don't want anymore. How closely do you guys really track your bank statements and credit card history? Who's missed something? I have. It's also, by the way, a pain in the butt when you get charged for something and you got to go figure it out and see what the hell is going on there. That's not fun. Rocket Money makes it easier for you. They're a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and it's a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $470 a year when using all of the app's features, including they'll negotiate to lower your bill for you, taking the workload off of you and saving you money in the process. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. For Mark, I think he's praying Trey comes through and he saves money. As for CeeDee, if he signed him a year ago, that money saved could be used by a guy like Hankins. You could have signed Lamb this offseason and paid Zach Moss and Hankins and still had leftover money. Like I've seen people claim, oh, it's not impacting their cash spending. Yes, it is. Because now you can't spend the $10 million plus you would have saved on this year's cap. That can roll over, can help take out some money next year, but you don't get it this season. Jerry's like 80% of the way there when he says, you can do credit card stuff. Yes, and if you're always doing credit card stuff with the way the NFL cap works with a consistently rising salary cap and $13 billion of revenue each year, yeah, you keep throwing money off in the future. It's fine. I don't have to be the Saints. You can be Philly and then take your bad money when you're non-competitive. That's what you should be doing. And even, by the way, if Lance is good, you're not going to save that much money in the end, by the way. Because He's not going to commit to like a 4-year deal and with low starter money. He'll do a prove-it deal if he thinks he's good enough. So it's very short-sightedness from this organization through and through. From Joshua Smith, is there a scenario in which Cowboys actually trade Mazi Smith now? I don't think so for a couple reasons. A, you're selling so low, you're not going to remotely get any return on value. The return on investment, it's going to be like you bought a stock at $20 and you sold it for $1. Like at that point, is it even worth it for you? You're kind of better off. It's not a loss until you sell it. You know? You actually are better off just like holding out hope at that point, because the downside is he hits and then you just took a huge loss when you just could have held it there. Plus, you don't have the bodies at defensive tackle. So do you believe in Mazi Smith? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments of today's show. Mark, what did Miss Slater question JJ on? I missed that. Jane had kind of like she did the first time, pushed him a little bit more on like why they haven't done these deals. And there were a couple reporters who did that, but Jane was minus 10,000 to ask an actually challenging, press conference question. Also from Mark, I had no doubt if we redid the big 3 contracts, signed 2 solid FAs, and signed Gilmore and Hankins and draft running back, we'd be Super Bowl bound. Now 8-9, 9-8. You know what's funny is you could have redone the big 3 contracts, and even you don't have to touch Micah because they're not going to be the same savings for Micah, but it's fine. You could have signed 2 players and Gilmore, Hankins, or comparable replacements at similar contracts, and you would have had more cap space available still. Like that's the benefits of doing these things early. The Cowboys are always last in line, and that's not a good place to be. Because you're not maximizing your spending. You're paying a premium because you wanted to wait. It's not a good contract strategy, and this team refuses to acknowledge it. Now, we will have Cowboys news and rumors and training camp updates and more. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. For Mark, Tom, I've submerged myself in hot wax for an all-over body waxing just to have JJ shut up. He sits there and smirks and believe what he says. He's ill. He was looking pretty rough at the start of that press conference. He was better as it went on in terms of like making cognitive sense. But look, it's frustrating because there is no accountability for Jerry and Steven. There's not. The ticket sales are still good. They're making their money. We care. We are Stockholm Syndrome through and through. And just got to wait. And they can just be like, you know what? It's not. Tim Cowshaw, who I know not everyone likes, great question. Like, the coaches and quarterbacks get fired. Why don't you get in trouble? Like, why are you not, like, how is that a good system, basically? He's right. From Mark, Mazi's like Dak. Love you or hate him. Have them on no one else. Oh, okay. See, you have no one else. Yes, they're banking on Mazi Smith. Like they gotta have him out there. Like they need him out there. He is too important because they don't have anybody else at DT. Unitive says trade CeeDee Lamb for 3 firsts. So this is like, and it's a little bit of a weird dichotomy. If you are getting an offer of 3 first-round picks for a player, should you be trading that player? Like, yeah, those first, I don't think anyone's offering that. I don't think you can get that. And if you could get it, maybe that means you shouldn't take it type of deal. Which is, I know it's kind of like, not fence sitting, but like weird. Both things can't be true at once, but kind of is. Amir R., what's the plan for Deuce Vaughn and Turpin? Gadget. Some slot stuff. More so for Turpin. Some backfield stuff. More so for Deuce Vaughn, but I think you'll see Turpin lined up back in there. Look, Lance Dunbar is pretty small. Turpin's smaller. Lance Dunbar, when he played for the Cowboys, he wasn't really a running back. There was a stretch at one point where he was out there. It was like 30-something snaps, 0 runs. It was all passes. But they got him involved, and it worked. So gadget return stuff, get speed and space options. Like I think there's there's ways to get them the ball. You just got to balance it of like, hey, if you're doing the receiver in the backfield, should it be for Turpin or should it be for CeeDee Lamb? I think that's the issue they kind of ran into last year. I want you guys to grade the Cowboys' skill players as well. A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel about the Cowboys have non-quarterback, receiver, tight end, running back for this team? Chase Wolf. Why do the reporters at press conferences not call out the BS coming out of Jerry's mouth? Too easy to prove his comments false. Just do it with tact. I don't have a great answer for you. Look, I am not a journalist. Let's start with that. I am a YouTuber. So I can say stuff like Jerry's lying, and it doesn't impact my job. If a reporter for whatever outlet goes, Jerry, you're lying, that would probably impact his job a little bit. So again, that's the tact angle of it. But there's also this element of you can challenge them, they can just ignore you, and as you saw, not answer the question. That's why I think it requires, you need really good journalists to handle that kind of stuff. And if I'm being honest here, those types of journalists who would be really good at that, a lot of them are doing non-sports journalism. Like, they're the ones that are investigating the companies who were lying about oil spills and shit, Like, they're doing the stuff that matters a little bit more. But you have people who do challenge them, and I do appreciate that from Cowboys media. All right, here's today's Super Chat menu. They're going to be doing the real stuff that matters. Like, in the grand scheme of things, challenging Jerry on the salary cap spending doesn't actually matter. Like, I had a good friend in college who, real, actual, big J journalist, was on the sports reporting staff with me. I'm like, this guy's awesome. And then he was in his freshman year, you could tell, okay, this guy is, really good at writing and reporting and, doing interview shit and all that. He's like, I don't want to do sports. I'm like, God damn it, that's fine. He now writes for the Post. He's like, yeah, he's like a real journalist. He challenged Jerry. His talents would be wasted of, things that actually matter, Super Chat menu, $20, $50, $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong or a tortilla slap, $100 for the bong, slap, and shot combo. $300. We get to go home early and play some college football 25. So, that's the Super Chat menu. Question for you guys right now. Do you trust the Dallas Cowboys organization? Y for yes, N for no. Lance Dunbar, is where we get either Chat Sports or Cowboys Report blogs from games or behind the scenes? Not from games, because we can't do the watch party stuff. We are legally not allowed to do a watch party in Cowboys Stadium. We did ask before I was super mean to Jerry and Steven. So, but no, it's just gonna have to be. It's this way, and those are fun too. I like the watch parties. We're what? Week and a half away from getting to one? Week and a half away from getting to the first watch party? 17 days? So 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks. Damn, I wish it was closer. Why is it not closer? Either way, that's awesome. Looking forward to it. Look, I don't trust the front office right now. It's really hard to trust them when they just say verifiably false shit. It's just hard. And I'm like, it takes time. It's been months. It's been a year. Why haven't you done it? It's frustrating. That's why I don't mind doing that. All the camp trolling I was doing. Shit, it made some people laugh and it was fun. On a day though, it was not fun. That press conference was not fun for anybody. I'm gonna do this real quick. I got this. This is also what pisses me off. I'm gonna rant here. I got Ari Meroff, who's fine, tweeting out, Stephen Jones, the Vikings aren't paying a QB or anyone else on the roster at this point. bro, this is where you have to be like, you have to include fact checked, not true. Like you have to include that. Because like you can't just like push forward and be like, this is what he said, and leave it as like, oh, that's true. Like there has to be some balance of like, hey, no, not true type of deal. Like, you have to point that out. You have to do your job a little bit there. Crispy, hard to continue to be hype and support this team. Yeah, it is. Now, I'll make this point a lot over the next 3 months. I'm going to try to enjoy the ride when we all know how this ride ends. This ride ends in January, probably in the wild card round. And I would also argue that's actually meeting the realistic expectations. Like, this team, I don't think is good enough to make it to a conference championship. I don't think they're good enough on paper. They're not well enough coached. Now, what this front office will do is they will act like they built the team that was good enough to do so. Because it cannot be the GM's fault. It's everyone else's fault. It can be the quarterback's fault. It can be the head coach's fault. It can be the defensive coordinator's fault. And sometimes it is, or at least in part of it. Sometimes it's the official's fault. But the front office just refuses to take it. There's no accountability. Because it's their team. There doesn't have to be accountability. It's very frustrating. Very frustrating. Final segment of today's show coming up here momentarily on the Cowboys Report. We've got some, I think, really interesting rumors and reports from ESPN's Todd Archer. We obviously broke down his roster projection earlier this week. There were several noteworthy tidbits in that piece as well on Stephon Gilmore, trading a quarterback, some other trade candidates, a sleeper to watch. We will break that all down as we are getting closer and closer to the first preseason watch party game. It's coming up in about 2 weeks, August 11th. I cannot wait. We're going to have a lot of Trey Lance out there. The preseason matters a little bit more than we've had in the past. So make sure you guys are locked in. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. So Todd Archer did not rule out a possible return of Stephon Gilmore to the Dallas Cowboys, which I think is really noteworthy. Here's exactly what Todd wrote. It's up in the air a bit after the top three, Diggs, Bland, and Lewis, which means a return of Stephon Gilmore cannot be ruled out. Now, there's nothing actually new right now on where things sit with the Stephon Gilmore contract negotiations with other teams. Its training camp is here for all 32 teams. Hasn't been much progress. In an ideal world, I would bring back Stephon Gilmore as veteran insurance for a really good football player. In case something bad happens with Diggs or Bland or Lewis and or Kalen Carson, Deshaun Wright, Eric Scott are simply not good enough. Gilmore stands out as a fantastic option. He knows the team. He knows most of the coaching staff, not all of it. I think his high football IQ would work with what Mike Zimmer likes to do on the defensive side of the football. Bringing back Gilmore in a bubble does make sense. Now, the issues are, if he wants to start, it's not really what Todd said. Todd mentioned backup stuff. Does Gilmore want to be a backup? Does he want to get paid like a backup? All of those things raise very valid questions about what the fit actually looks like in reality for Stephon Gilmore and for Dallas. But until he signs, that door's open. And it wouldn't remove all the ill will towards the organization, but we'd be happy about it. We ain't been happy too much since December. So will Stephon Gilmore return to the Cowboys? Y for yes, N for no. I want you guys to go ahead and sound off for me, in particular at the pinned comment of today's show. So if that ad happens to come here on the YouTube side of things, that is just fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. Do you want Stephon Gilmore to return to the Cowboys? One trade bait mentioned by Todd Archer, who I actually, as a quick aside here, we'll talk about Junior Fehoko as a possible trade candidate. I appreciate that Todd Archer actually put good nuggets in his piece. He had good information there. It wasn't just here's the list of the players in 2 sentences. Like some of the, I read all the roster projections. Some of them were just like, yeah, these are the 3 guys. No insight. This was insightful. Fehoko, Archer wrote, a 4th-round pick last year, could be trade bait and will have to impress early after not playing as a rookie. Now, again, there's nothing overly shocking in terms of he didn't impress very much there. Is noteworthy about the trade bait element as it sits for the Cowboys and for Junior Fehoko. If that is the case and he doesn't impress, have him text Dan Quinn, you up. Because for some of these young defenders, Eric Scott missed out on Archer's 53-man roster projection too, which we mentioned on that video. The sponsor, so to speak, is not there. The guy that had a big hand in drafting them, Dan Quinn, also probably adding dirty, those guys are gone. It's a new regime with Mike Zimmer and Jeff Z, which I always mispronounce the name, so I'm not going to do it again here. The D-line coach, Greg Ellis. Those guys aren't as committed to developing them. And they're all on one-year deals. They got to win games now, which that's how you get from we to me pretty quickly, by the way. Now, today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. Most Americans, folks, think they spend about $62 a month on subscriptions. The real number is more like $300. That is thousands of dollars a year. At least a few of them we've forgotten about. It's only natural. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills, all in one place so you can help grow your savings. With Rocket Money, you got full control over your subscriptions, a clear view of your expenses and your budget, help you create a custom budget so you can keep your spending on track. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when you use all of the app features. I wish there was one for the salary cap because the Jones boys could use it. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Links in the comments and the description of today's show, rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Viliami Fehoko, a.k.a. Junior Fehoko, he does go by both, was a redshirt year player for the Cowboys last season, which is tough when he's your 4th-round pick and you get even less impact, I think even Overshown, because Overshown look good, than the other guys on your roster. It was a wasted class in year 1. In interest of transparency, I had a 5th-round grade on Fehoko. He was my number 26 defensive end. He was a tweener DE, DT. I wouldn't be shocked if he got some reps at DT at camp. We'll learn more in the coming days. I had him at 172 overall. Cowboys took him at 129 overall. And I actually didn't realize this until the other day when I looked at it. I actually had Tyrus Wheat higher than Fehoko. Now, technically speaking, Wheat helped you more. He actually played on special teams a decent amount, even though he was a undrafted free agent. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys put Fehoko at defensive tackle because there's nobody else. It's Osa who, if he goes down, we're in trouble, man. Mazi Smith is a one technique. Justin Rodgers is a one technique. Carl Davis is a one technique. Frankly, Denzel Daxon's a one technique too, but it just doesn't fit. Golston, Fehoko, and maybe Marshawn Nealon kind of fit that, they can play some defensive end, they can play some defensive tackle. They're kind of in the Tyrone Crawford was the good version of that player, at least for this team, right? Pass rush-wise, you got Micah, Lawrence, Williams, Nealon. At best, Fehoko's defensive end 5 on this team. More investment in the other 4 guys. Better impact than the other 4 guys. DT, it could be 3 or 4. Maybe 5. So I do think he has to earn a role. Maybe makes team no matter what, has to earn a role in the end. So will the Cowboys make a trade before the season? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Sound off where else but the comments of this video. Now, Archer also mentioned a possible quarterback trade. all of the attention is going to be paid to Trey Lance, maybe more so than Dak Prescott this year. Lance is fighting for his future in the NFL, which I think is very noteworthy with where things sit. How do things all play out for the Cowboys in this organization with where things sit at the moment, and how do they maximize winning now with Dak and the long-term future? This is what Todd Archer wrote. If Lance plays well, maybe he becomes the quarterback of the future with Prescott in the final year of his deal. Or trade bait. Rush, 6-1 as a starter, could also be trade bait for teams needing a quality backup. Look, Archer mentioning a trade, even probably more so for Lance than Rush, that stands out to me. I still think it's unlikely because, again, if Lance looks good, then you probably want to keep him. And if he doesn't look good, no one's going to want to trade for him. It's one of, again, that weird dichotomy thing there. But Lance has a lot riding on this training camp and preseason. It didn't work out in San Francisco. He's had a year-ish to learn the offense and get acclimated. And one under-the-radar element, I think Big Mike knows this. They're going to win games with Dak at quarterback this year. That's how it's going to be. He, by far, gives them the best chance because they've been a top 5 offense every year with Mike and Dak healthy, which is, I think, often overlooked. So how much time does Mike want to invest in Trey Lance? Because Mike's coaching for his job. If Mike had a new 4-year deal, I bet he'd spend more time with Lance. Now, Mike get delegated instead. You're going to spend 10 minutes working on, the 15 minutes into practice. You're going to work with Lance or Cooper Rush. Same thing goes for him here, who's just a backup in the end. Or are you going to spend the next 15 minutes like, let me try to tweak this thing in our red zone package to save my job. You're looking a lot more short term than you are long term. And that's how you get organizational philosophy differences. As for Rush, I think there's going to be an interest in him. We know who he is. He's a fine backup QB. He's fine. But he was a free agent, and nobody really wanted him. And I don't know why that would change, a year later with no other really new experience. So pick a new backup, or a backup QB, I suppose. Technically, Rush would not be new. TL for Trey Lance, CR for Cooper Rush. Let's talk a sleeper to watch here. ESPN's Todd Archer listed Princeton Fant, not Brevin Spanford, not Peyton Hendershot, not anybody else, as the sleeper to watch in the tight end room. This is several different reporters who have mentioned this. This is someone that is kind of not like pushed and grilled and like challenged isn't the right word, but like you've seen Dak give a little bit extra energy towards him in a positive way of like, hey, do this, that, like extra time and energy devoted to helping him get better. Has fans in the organization. I think there's 2 tight end roster locks, Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker. Up to 2 are open. Hendershot, John Stevens, Princeton Fant, Brevin Spanford. I doubt Alec Kohler, but he's on the team too because you're not going to play Fergie in the preseason. There's room for those guys to make the team and make an impact. So we'll be watching Fant, especially in the preseason. All right, Cowboys legend voting. PM for Pat McQuaid-Stain, LA for Larry Allen Jr., CG for Chaz Green, RB for Robert Brewster, or ZC for Zeke at center. Who are you voting for in the meme options here? Larry Allen Jr., by the way, a runaway leader on that front. From Destroyer Dog, all in, yet nothing. Why are they lying still, Tom? The more they wait, the more the cap worsens every day. They get expensive. What don't they understand? This is a team that is too focused on winning the deal. Do you know why deals with Jalen Smith and La'el Collins, Trevon Diggs got done with such little fanfare and drama going into it? And Terrence Steele, those guys took less than the market. If you take less as a Cowboys player, your deal gets done. And if you're willing to do it early, right? Like that deal happens. If you are DeMarcus Lawrence, if you are Amari Cooper, if you are Dak Prescott twice now, if you're CeeDee Lamb, if you say, no, I want what the market says I'm worth, you're Zeke Elliott. If you're Zach Martin, it takes you a while. There's drama. There's negative articles in the media. Seen it with Micah Parsons already too. They don't like to play that way. And they drag it out. And then they eventually cave. And that's also an issue with what their reputation with agents. Like, if you're one of the Bulldog agents, and, like, I'm not saying that it's easy to work with David Malgetta and Todd France, because, like, those guys are kind of hard, like they're going to push it and make it really hard on you as contract negotiators, which is their job. Doesn't mean you like them for it. Like, they know, why would I take the contract offer right now? The Cowboys are going to cave. They're going to give me more. This is not their best offer. I know it's not their best offer. I've seen it happen every single time. The best offer comes at the last second. They paid Zeke before the season. They let Martin hold out into training camp. They let it go up till the deadline with Tank Lawrence on the franchise tag. They barely got the deal done with Dak Prescott. They let Amari Cooper hit free agency. They traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper and let him hit free agency. How crazy that is? It's crazy. Doesn't make any sense. So they do it this way because they choose to. Because they don't want to lose the deal. And by playing not to lose, they actually end up losing, and they cave, and they're last in line, and it costs them their precious cap space. Ratio's right. If you do it early, if you're proactive, it'll cost you short-term money, but it takes some leverage out of the agent's hands. Player gets paid. Everyone wins. The next guy in line gets paid more. That is how this works. Cowboys think they're special. We don't wipe these 304s. The Cowboys are all in Skip's ass. I don't like to cheer for people. What are the kids are saying these days so you don't get flagged with, saying swear words. I like to cheer for people to lose their jobs. I'm very glad Skip Bayless lost his job. He is not a good person. Like, he's not a Cowboys fan. He's not. He pretends to be. I will never forgive him. Everyone's got their Skip moment, right? For some, it was when he called Dak soft for being depressed after his brother died, which, like, seriously? Like, what the hell? For me, it was when he wrote the book that tried to out Aikman as gay. Like, created that story to sell. Like, no, Skip sucks. He is not a good person. I hope he never gets a job again in sports media. Hope he never, ever gets a job done. From Vic and Bridget Clark, as long as the Supers keep coming in, we'll stay live. We'll stay live, but they got to come in. Otherwise, it's been 2 hours. Got other stuff to do. Front office still can't figure out today's price. Ain't the 2025 price. Dak will be asking for $6 to $7 million in January and February. At that point, you can see some wild reports out there, because at that point, you're not negotiating with just yourself. Every team can get him. And, like, we can look around the NFL and be like, okay, who needs a quarterback? All right? Let's just play this game out a little bit. Now, let's pretend that all the young guys look great, and Tennessee doesn't need somebody. The Colts don't need somebody. Let's pretend Miami pays Tua, which I'm not sure they're going to. Drake May looks like him. We'll be realistic with some of these, right? The Jets might be shopping for a new QB to replace Aaron Rodgers soon. And he can handle the New York media. My nightmare scenario is Dak goes to the Giants. That is my nightmare scenario. Because I don't want to play him twice a year. You think he's gonna destroy us every game. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Right? The Steelers are going to be in the market for a new QB. Let's be honest here. Russell Wilson is old. The Bears will be fine. The Lions, the Packers, the Vikings will be fine. The Falcons will be fine. The Saints just invent money every single year. They always do that. There's probably going to be one or two teams with young QBs that do not impress. You know who loves Dak? Sean Payton. If Bo Nix sucks, you think Sean's scared of just saying, F you, Bo, I'm out of here and don't assign Dak? I don't. I don't think that's the case at all. The Raiders be the best quarterback the Raiders have had since Rich Gannon. Not better. Well, what's Seattle going to do, by the way, with Geno Smith? And frankly, all you need is two. You need two teams. That's it. There's your bidding war. So I have no idea what it's going to be. And maybe in the end, and this is maybe how I'd approach it if Dallas, I'd be like, look, Dak, we're going to, if you actually do want to pay him, you have to ask him to do you a favor. Be like, look, we're not going to spend this way. This is what you're looking at. It's not true. That's not how you have to operate. That's how they're going to operate. You know, we want to pay you. You know, we'll do super high guaranteed money, whatever. Just will you do us a favor and take a little bit less, just a little bit less. We are 17 days away from Cowboys preseason football being here. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. Ooh, another super chat at the buzzer, so we'll stay live. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/Cowboys TV. I'm gonna have to go to stopwatch mode here, Chris. 2 minutes on the clock, or we'll sign off. Tom, JJ is 100% money-oriented. I own a business, and I want to make money, but I'm glad to take a few dollars less to take pride in my engineering. JJ has no pride. Look, they were very excited to tell you how many tickets that they had sold. They were I have not seen that ownership group that excited in a very long time. They were like, look at this. Look at us, guys. Look how good we are. Like, I don't give a shit, Jerry, you're selling tickets. I don't care. That, like, honestly, I wouldn't have even mentioned it. Like, it's not just ignorant. It's just downright disrespectful optics. We're asking all these questions that you haven't spent cash, and you're responsible. We've sold a bunch of tickets. Damn, man, really? That's how you're just gonna play it. You're just gonna be like, yeah, we ain't won, but we sold tickets. They're sitting up there going, no one feels bad for us. We're blessed. Smallest violin. No one cares. We got to do all this stuff. When you bring it up like 7 times that no one feels bad for you and that you don't want people to feel bad for you, you're saying you actually want people to feel bad for you. Right? Like, if my wife keeps asking me, hey, what do you want for dinner? I'm not hungry yet. It means she's actually hungry. It means you keep bringing it up. It's pretty clear. So look, there was nothing that they could have done at today's press conference to take the heat off them, and they were very defensive in it, which I can't say I blame them for. I'd probably be defensive too. And nothing they could have done that would have impressed me. Thought the end result was fairly ugly in the end. Folks, we are 17 days away from Cowboys football. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/Cowboys TV.